Welcome back to Frequency Tuning. I'm Karen Janelle Davis, and it is an absolute pleasure to be connecting with you. Now, our series and workshop on frequency tuning is here to establish the way we move through life. Now, what happens is we're always moving through life. There's always things that are showing up into our space that are giving us opportunities to grow, to learn, to reevaluate ourselves, but ultimately to evolve. Yeah. So sometimes some of the evolution of our own being is this contraction experience, this level of feeling contracted, which feels like we're falling apart or breaking apart, or there's a real restriction in place. And within the depths of that, when we're not resisting it, it opens up to a new evolution, a new expansion. Now, this is going to happen naturally anyway, all of the time, always. Because even if we have some deep levels of restriction that are happening and they maintain their presence within us, there'll be levels of that are combusted apart. And what we do with that at that point can be whether we're evolving exponentially or whether we're devolving for a moment, sort of backtracking in order to be able to deal with that experience. Now, these will be about our levels of awareness, our levels of practice, the work that we've done, and the understanding of the moving of the energies within us. Always meaning making is going to make these contractions, our meaning making and our stories are always going to keep these contractions in place for much longer. And yet when we're able to completely let go of meaning making or story for a moment, we're able to come back to the raw essence of energy and movement. Now, this is really the depth of practice that we're inviting here to explore, because as a magical, exquisite, magnificent being, it doesn't really matter how long we're in a devolved space or a contracted space or an evolution space. Not at the level of time that, this is from a much broader picture, but it doesn't really matter. However, we will find that as humans, we don't like this sense of contraction. And so what we can do within the space of it is become the alchemy of change. And this is really what the frequency tuning is about, is understanding the power we have in the observation, the witness factor, and bringing our own essence and presence into a contraction of some format in order for an evolution, a true evolution to unfold. So let's say something has shown up in life, something that really had one of those deep values. Let's say something in a family environment, something in a relationship component, because those are always the ones that trigger us so deeply because there's such a core base of value and we have deep meaning around them. We have lots of stories, we have identities attached, we have a very coherent set of beliefs around them, whether we know what those beliefs are or not. And they will always have two sides of the paradox. The desire for the love, and that always is, whether we're noticing that or not, or the not love factors that are always present as well, and which from a human psyche level we tend to focus on a wee bit more, which really conducts our process of experiencing here on this planet. Let me just check if that was well said. Yeah, you might like to just sort of let that settle in for a moment here. Just the very idea that at an energetic vibrational level, all phases of vibration are at a potential within your space, always. Yeah. The depth of unconditional love is always present. Wholeness is always present. Oneness is always present. And so within the space of all that is everything else too. All of the times that we feel separate and not whole. All of the times that we feel so individualized and detached from that wholeness. The identity separations that we have, and I must be right and they must be wrong, all of those right wrong components where we separate ourselves out from another being to justify the experience of this life that we think that into being. And when we come from a wholeness frame, it's effortless because, of course, all of those experiences are in the one. But when we're not coming from the wholeness frame, when we're coming from this contracted movement of experience, this family thing that happened or this relationship thing that happened, and our attachment to it deepens and gets more tight. I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but the depth of tightness tangles and tangles and tangles and tangles deeper. And therefore our vibrational observation around that also magnifies this level of experience. Now, there's always a gift inside of it. How we transact with us, how we interact with us, how we engage with this experience. Over time in your own development will become, I can't say it's easier and easier, but less fearless. When we're first entering this level of depth of work, the practice, the process of being, the alchemy of change, entering into what we have perceived for so long as an uncomfortable, painful, suffering state of being, can feel very, very uncomfortable, to say the least. Yeah. However, it's far less fearful and far more probable when we already recognize the wholeness, the completeness, the perfection, the deliberate nature, the cause and effect laws and contributions that have brought us attention to this certain way of showing up, the certain, say, value set, the certain experience that we've had. And of all the thousands of experiences that you could have had with relationship or with family in a life condition situation, this is the one that desires to be witnessed, or it wouldn't be so loud and proud, so obviously so deeply felt, or so even, let's say, repulsive or upsetting or extraordinarily painful or blah, 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 blah. It would have been in amongst the other 999 that you didn't at that moment notice. But this one desires, this energy segment desires your attention. And ultimately it desires your attention for growth, to find the gift, and to reconstitute or to recycle the energy of that back into the whole in order for a new experience to show up. Now that's the theory, right? The working practice and level of experience and evolving in this changes. If you're new to the work, could feel quite plunky, could feel quite cumbersome, quite big, elephant-like in your conception of this is the way it is. If you're far more refined in the work, you'll understand the subtleties around it. This is so desiring your attention. It is so incredibly vital in your next level of evolution and awareness of the vibrations that you contribute to all of the time that you're participating in, that it is literally asking you as a gateway for you to enter it. They're literally asking you as a gateway for you to enter it. Now, what happens in most personal development things is there's this idea that you either go around it or over it or through it, or you get stuck in it, or you just get over it, or you come to healing of some kind, etc., etc., etc. Well, let's make it far less complex than that. This is a gateway. This contraction is a gateway. It's an invitation to bring the essence of your wholeness into the perception of your experience. It's simply a gateway, a doorway and invite. It may appear that the gateway is yelling and screaming, "Caution, beware, do not enter here." Or it may feel like you're being sucked in, just like vortex style, sucked in like a whirlpool. It could be that you've been camping outside of this situation for long periods of time with the absolute fear of entry into it. Or it could be that you've been in there before and the holes that you found were so, I guess that, the dragons that you found inside or the monsters that you found inside were too much for you at that point in your life to be able to work with and move through. And that all said, it's completely irrelevant, really, when we look at it just as a gateway. And there are multiple ways that you can work with this. But let's look at it like a gateway to an evolution of you that will refine your energy so much that you begin to witness and experience being the alchemy of change, therefore the frequency tuning of wholeness and healing. This becomes much easier when you allow the presupposition, the thing presupposed to be true, that within here, within this gateway and within the space of that confinement is the very, very gift that you've been searching for. And because we're talking about relationship or family things here, we're assuming that this seeking for has been over a long period of time. In most cases, from an adult perspective, it normally has been. And it'll be dressed in many, many clothes, what it is that you've been seeking for. But ultimately, at the deepest level, it will be you. It will wear many clothes, like I said, but ultimately it will be you. Not you, the identity, but you, the knowingness, you, the love, you, the essence. And can you, from outside of the gate, invite that you, the essence, to come forward and out the gate? Yeah, sure. That might be one way of doing it. In this particular case, with the frequency tuning, I'm inviting you to use your energy, not your emotion, your energy, and therefore vibration, and the wholeness of your being. So bring your attention into your physical heart organ. And soften. And inviting your unconscious mind, the presence that is you, to begin to attend to the wholeness that already exists. And attuning to that wholeness. And realize that while you're in that wholeness already, it is possible for the gateway to open, to allow air and light into that situation. Kind of like turning the light on within the space, opening up the windows and the doors. So it's no longer a jail-like deep dark hole, but more of a space that has walls or structure around it. And inviting you at a deep level energetically to observe simply the structure, just observing the structure. And know that your gifts are very highly magnified through the space of wholeness. And gently inviting the fineness of your capacity, the refined energies, to seep into, and to merge with what was once closed off. Inviting love to emerge within the space. Now, these are only words. But what does the vibration of love and unconditional love feel like? As a space of that idea or concept that you've walked through as a gateway, energetically. Return to you now, that which you've been seeking. So we can't always see the wind as it moves. We can feel the effect of it. Your vibrational frequency is very much like the wind. Very, very much like the wind. My apologies. Your vibrational frequency is very much like the wind, as you will feel its presence, which is your presence. In this particular case, it's not a guide's presence or any other presence other than the ultimate aspect of you, the magnificence of your very ascended being, connected to all that is. Whatever label you want to put that on. From this framework here, no matter the story, no matter the meaning that was made previous to this particular situation, life experience, what begins to unfold in the very subtle energies of frequency is new awareness. New awareness will have a certain feel, just like the breeze has a certain feel. And as you pay attention to that certain feeling, that certain sense, certain knowing, an awakening of your own vibrational tuning occurs. Just like a beautiful instrument you are. There's always an attuning that is available. And the more that you've done the work, practice, being a part of the alchemy of change, the more refined you are in your capacity to tune. And if you're new to this kind of work, some of it is just allowing the trust to occur. And therefore the sense of the feeling of the wind of change at vibrational frequency to be known and felt by you, to be acknowledged. And as you sink into this, there is an ease and a grace that shows up in your own space. Now, recoding occurs because we're working vibrational frequency level. Recoding occurs at the physical body being, the emotional body being, the energy body being, and the mind body being. All allowing and unsticking, if you like. Searching for a better word than that. And untangling. And then your physical body responds differently. So the breath might shift, the body posture may shift. Your awareness shifts. Lightness begins to occur in your chest area, in space, in the thinking zone. And from a content level here, we're inviting you to pay attention to the space that it has opened up. this level of work, when you're working with this kind of frequency with self, there's an ever-changing enrichment that comes from releasing old energy, releasing our attachment to the values around stuff. This doesn't mean that we don't have the values. It means that we have a broader sense, a more whole and complete observation of them. So that our interactions with ourselves and therefore our family members or the people we're in relationship or relating with, that we come from more of a holistic or a more whole framework. Clarities will arise. That's all going to happen anyway. But I think you can begin to see here very quickly that the frequency work, the tuning, the attuning, allows very fast transformation. Because ultimately that which was has changed. Now, where does it go? Well, it changes, it becomes recycled. The energy itself provides you with more energy to create with, provides you with more space to create into and to explore and to experience with it. And if nothing else from this particular workshop, it's a real invite to recognize the practice on a daily basis of your work is more essential than a transformation like that. And here's why. Because when you practice and know the sense of wholeness, and you can come to that dynamic stillness, place of oneness within your very being, that aligned space, the capacity to allow clarity to come up and reform, to allow integration of the wholeness to be present. That's when the change and transformation occurs. Not because of the change and transformation, because of the practice of the knowing of who you really are without the limitations of a limited identity being. You call it meditation, practice, the work, or just general experience of being without limit. And people call it mindlessness, maybe. That might be appropriate. But it's those practices that when you're working with frequency attuning or tuning that make the work even more precise. So ultimately here is an invite, a gateway for you to recognize that doing the work before the work is important. So doing the practice of how to be within the wholeness of you is the work. That's the work. And when you apply it to a life condition, situation in your life, set of beliefs, values, disturbances in the force, your work is ultimately done. And then your observation from a whole frame allows the evolution and the learning, the gift, the you, return to you, to be effortless, completely effortless. All because of the previous work, which is happening right now. You will always have experiences show up in life. You're the creator of your life. That's what you're producing. That's what you're offering yourself as multiple gateways. we can experience separateness in order to experience wholeness again, in order to know what true unconditional love is, and to explore and to experience and to grow and to evolve, not just as a one being, but as a whole being, as a whole connected nature of all that is. We're all in this together. Individually, when we come from that framework, our work is to do the work. Piece by piece by piece by piece. The subtlety becomes more profound, more instantaneous. So it's already done. And there's a deep truth in that too. So no matter what your skill level is inside of this kind of work, I invite you to go again, this time with the same or another, a new life condition that you'd like to de-escalate or you'd like to have come back into wholeness. And work with it from a real present space, without searching, just following the beauty of the frequency tuning that took place as part of this intervention, part of this workshop. Just so you know, I came in with one of those things. I came in with a very real situation at hand. And I thought, what better way to do it than to move through what I brought in and to actually allow the wholeness to return into the space that is me. And by default, of course, naturally, because we connect, that you too will find that the application is true for you too, no matter the content. May your unconscious mind and your conscious mind become aware of the distinct differences moving forward. Walking in joy and in love and in wholeness of the magnificence that you are. More fine tuning coming up next month, or frequency tuning coming up next month, and the next release. So thank you very much for working with me. My love and appreciation of you, to you. Full acknowledgement, thank you. Have the most magnificent day.